Love it or hate it, Pokemon Go is a great game. It's one of a kind. But after 8 years of gameplay, there have been some really bad things that have made people quit. And if you're like me and you've played literally every single day, there's a bunch of small little things that for whatever reason just annoy you. Today we'll be looking at a handful of things Pokemon Go players absolutely hate. Starting with the single most popular Pokemon in the entire franchise, Pikachu. Now, nobody hates Pikachu, that's not what we're talking about. But as Pokemon Go players, I'm sure many of us can all go without another costume Pikachu. Costume Pokemon were first introduced actually back in 2016 with, you guessed it, Pikachu. Christmas Pikachu to be exact. Released during the first ever Pokemon Go holiday event. Since then, 231 unique costume Pokemon have been released, with, wait for it, 88 of them being either Pikachu, Pichu, or Raichu. That's 33% of all costume Pokemon released over the last 8 years, a part of one single family. That is wild. Even wilder, there has only ever been one single costume legendary Pokemon released, which is Armored Mewtwo. And although there is a pretty wide variety of existing costume Pokemon, overall, the Pokemon themselves are a bit underwhelming. And the costumes kinda have been too recently, like the Lapras with the bow or the Elekid with the armband. Now compare these Pokemon in costumes with another Pokemon game, Pokemon Unite. They've got Space Holoware Zeraora, Fancy Zacian. These are epic costumes and they're of legendary Pokemon. These look like Fortnite skins. Meanwhile, we have 38 million Pikachu with a hat. It also seems like the complexity of costumes in Unite are far better than in Go. Just look at the difference between these two Lapras costumes. It's huge. So although we all really like costume Pokemon and it creates a cool, varied collectability aspect, I think we can agree more variety, better designs, and less Pikachu would be great. One of the biggest updates in Pokemon Go history has recently released, and it's a big deal. Talking about Dynamax. This has been an honestly great addition to the game. It's completely new, visually looks great, makes going outside and playing more fun, and has some great shiny hunts. But there are some aspects about it that have players really annoyed. For starters, you cannot Dynamax any of your previous Pokemon, which is pretty frustrating for players like myself who have spent literal years and thousands of dollars creating a very big and awesome collection of Pokemon. I mean, literally every update that comes out, I specifically hunt the most meta-relevant Pokemon out of everything that's spawning so that I could use them when new great features come out. But all the grinding is for naught. I think that's how it's said. Because the only Pokemon you can use in Pokemon Go Max Battles are the one that you get from Max Battles. In the main series Sword and Shield Pokemon games, every Pokemon has the ability to Dynamax. In order to make that happen, you basically just have to feed a Pokemon an item called Max Soup. But in Pokemon Go, there is no such item, there are just Max Raids. So basically the more you do, the more Pokemon you have to do them with. For example, right now Phalanx is in Max Raids, and although Phalanx isn't like the greatest Pokemon or most meta-relevant Pokemon, right now it is the only fighting type Max Pokemon that has ever been released. Which means if there's ever a normal type Dynamax boss, you're gonna need a Phalanx because you can't use any other fighting types because none of them have been in Max Raids yet. Yeah, this whole thing is a little bit frustrating and players feel a bit of way about it. I will say though, it is also very fun on the flip side because it feels like you're having to start from zero again with your collecting, which I've had a good time with, but definitely annoying to a lot of people. Another thing about these raids that have been very frustrating are the shiny rates. In the main series games, the rates are roughly 1 out of 100 with a shiny charm, which is pretty good. But in Pokemon Go, it's suspected to be around 1 in 500, which are like wild spawn odds. And that's crazy considering how expensive Dynamax raids actually are to do a bunch of, especially if you want to do a bunch of them in one day. Although technically you can do multiple free Dynamax raids per day due to the max particle collection system compared to just one free regular raid per day, which could explain the higher shiny rate, so I guess it kind of makes sense. If you've played the game long enough, you will absolutely have experienced your fair share of bugs and glitches. From the 2016 server issue screen to the 2024 Shiny Zacian sprite glitch, Pokemon Go has been plagued with bugs. Most players never notice these unless you live in the APAC region. This part of the world gets new updates and events and features first, and therefore they get all of the bugs and issues first. Countless events have been scuffed or semi-ruined for specifically this side of the world over the last couple of years. nonstop. Some recent ones include disabled catch cards during Global Go Fest, Mega Rayquaza Elite Raid Day issues, the Shinization release didn't have its shiny sprite enabled, but I will say Niantic has gotten really good at making up these mistakes to the community, with the best example of that being the countless free Ultra Beast encounters for players who completed a bunch of raids during Go Fest. So the glitches and the initial frustrations haven't gone away, but the apologies have gotten a lot better. Do you remember when Pokemon Go avatars used to look like this? Did you even notice they don't anymore? In April of 2024, one of the worst updates in Pokemon Go history went down, the Avatar update, where the iconic looking Pokemon Go avatars got a complete makeover that annoyed and frustrated the entire community. Gone were the days of your character looking like a cute video game character, and instead players look sickly, alien, unproportionate. And speaking of glitches, there were some pretty obscene ones with this update I couldn't believe slipped through the cracks. Meanwhile, Niantic was doubling down on the update and insisting that it was more inclusive to more players. Meanwhile, ironically, most people felt super left out or massively disappointed. And after several weeks of the entire internet dogpiling on Niantic for this update, nothing. No apology, no rollbacks, no communication. They just ignored everybody and moved on, which was honestly even more annoying than the update itself. And in an interview with Niantic, they said, "One of the feedbacks we saw was around wanting the original avatars for some players and some of the things we did to adjust the various options, or to give players opportunities to manually get a little bit closer to what those original avatars look like. It's not a one-to-one for sure, but I do think if that's what you're really interested in there are options available to you to get close to that equally." And they also pretty much confirmed that Niantic would not be giving players the opportunity to convert their avatars back to the original ones. So regardless of how you feel about the update, it's here to stay. Just do what everybody else does and wear an outfit that covers your entire body. Speaking of major changes that players absolutely hated that Niantic was completely silent about, how about those remote raids, eh? Okay, I won't beat this dead horse too much, but we all know how annoyed players were about this, and it's been over a year since they were originally nerfed, and they were never unnerfed. The prices were never brought down. Although the daily limit was either lifted fully for things like Go Fest, which was amazing, or they were brought up to like 10 raids a day, 20 raids a day for key specific raid-focused events. So that was super nice, and those days are honestly super fun to play because of that. But it didn't change the new super expensive price tag on the remote raids. Players do not like that if they've been playing for a while. Team Rocket. We all love them and hate them for different reasons, and one big one being they're always in the way. You can turn the team leaders off, but you can't turn grunts off. And they tend to always be in the way when you're trying to click on something. But the really annoying thing about Team Go Rocket is that after you defeat one of the members, you cannot skip through the post-battle animations. All the items and, rocket radars and stuff you're getting from it. Now, if you're battling just one grunt, not bad, totally fine. But if it's like a Team Rocket focused event, or it's like you're just grunt hunting, it is so annoying, and those couple seconds each battle add up, and it's really frustrating. Which is odd because you can skip through the post-raid battle screens super quickly, but you can't do it for Team Rocket yet. Let's all be honest here though, the single most annoying thing that we all hate absolutely the most, no contest, is running out of space. I have 7,000 Pokemon storage, and daily I fill up on space and have to mass transfer everything because my Go Plus can't catch anymore. And the worst part is when you take down a raid boss or Team Go Rocket leader and you can't catch the Pokemon because your storage is full. I have absolutely lost several legendary Pokemon to this. Bro, and don't get me started on item space. Jesus. I literally feel like I am always full, and I'm always having to transfer random berries. It definitely really makes you want to spend everything you have in your bank account to expand your bag storage as much as possible, which you might have to do because it's really expensive to give yourself extra storage space. No wonder. And even if you do max that storage space out, eventually it's gonna fill right back up and you're gonna be back in the same annoying process. Now, speaking of expensive, this game, Pokemon Go, is easily the single most expensive free-to-play game ever. Okay, maybe it's not as expensive as a game like Clash of Clans, but it's definitely up there. And as time has gone on, it feels like you kind of need to spend money in the game to really even enjoy it or any of the features that come out. Raids, eggs, field research, special events, Dynamax raids. Sure, they all technically have a free version, and you can technically earn 50 Pokecoins per day from the gyms, but we all know the gym grind is a joke, and paying to play the game gives you a completely different experience. Almost always, the coolest and most exciting part of any new feature or update is behind some sort of paywall. Like how every time a super rare new shiny is released, it's typically either in raids or eggs, and how many features have some sort of major limitation on them unless you're willing to spend a ton, like Dynamax battles and max particles. The truth of Pokemon Go is, if you want the best, you're gonna have to pay for it. Now, there is a newer feature that is technically cheaper to use, mainly because you can't remote raid it. the shadow raids, but they're hard and glitchy. Shadow raids are honestly a really cool concept, and they're sort of fun to do, especially since you can get shadow shinies from them, including shadow legendaries like Mewtwo. But they are hard. Really hard. Tier 5 shadow raids are literally impossible to beat unless you have sort of a large group of players with you who all have done enough rocket battles to stock up on purified gems, which, by the way, never worked for me. I can't tell you how many times I've attempted to solo a tier 3 shadow raid, used all of my purified gems, and then lost because the Pokemon did not become unenraged, and then it destroyed me, and then I lost the raid and all of my purified gems and the raid pass. Honestly, the most annoying part of the feature. It seems to only work sometimes. Really fun concept, really fun sometimes, but kind of annoying in practice. And for that reason, most players just stay away from it. The next one is pretty niche, and if you know about it, consider yourself a hardcore player. Quick catching is the #1 strategy by far in the game, 100% hands down. But there was a strategy that was even better, until it was nerfed. You used to be able to go into AR mode and quick catch Pokemon significantly faster, which was super useful on days like Go Fast. But in an attempt to promote the new AR Plus update that nobody uses, Niantic basically disabled this quick catching strategy, which is my next point. Niantic always pushing AR. Listen, I get it. Niantic is an AR company and they truly believe in it as the future of gaming, which I can get on board with. I think it's a really interesting technology. But man, you just gotta let the game live sometimes and let people interact with AR in their own time and enjoyment. Or at least wait until the features are super polished and very, very good, until you push people into it or push certain strategies and features out. What else annoys you about Pokemon Go? Let me know in the comments. And check out these other videos. I'll see you in there.